Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Mike Alicio.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
And today we're taking a look at something new, a train game. Actually, there are quite a few train games out there, but there are not many subway or underground train games. And today we're taking a look at Maglev Metro, which you have to admit is kind of a cool name.
It is.
And if you see Mike's unboxing of this game, you will be doubly impressed because the components of this from Bezier Games are just astounding. I thought it was like a Kickstarter upgrade, but it's not.
Yeah.
So this is a 2 to 4 player game in which you're building competing subway trains. You can pick solo. Thank you, Mike. Sorry, I tend to skip the solo people. 1 to 4 player game where you're trying to pick up passengers while you have robots work on your magnetic trains. Here's how it plays.
There are two sides to the board. We have Berlin and Manhattan. I'm showing you Berlin, which is kind of the experienced side. I'll show you the basic side when we're done with the overview. But each side plays fairly similarly, and I'll mention some differences. You have some starting stations that are already on the board. You have other stations here, but they're not a receiving station yet. And so you want to get to that point. The main thing to focus on is each player's player board. On a player's turn, they're going to have 2 actions that they can take. If they fill up one of these rows with different color robots, we have silver, bronze, and gold, or different passengers, red, pink, lavender, and purple, you could possibly have 3 to 5 actions that you take on your turn. So players are going to be, as they get these different robots and passengers, place them in here. You might want to go for extra actions. You might want to make your actions better. Each person can do a level 1 action of all these different types here. These 2 actions, build station and reserve train, cannot be done unless you put the corresponding robot in them. If you want to make an action better, you can put any old robot in the first spot, but if you want to make it even better than that, you're going to probably need specific colors. So this one would need copper, and now my pickup is at level 3. You also cannot even pick up or build stations of pink, lavender, red, and purple unless you have these filled up. And filling passengers in these spots over here is simply endgame victory points. So like I said, on your turn, you have 2 actions that you can take. You pick one of these actions and you do it, and then you could do the same action again or something different. The only one here that's not an action is capacity, and that is simply how many different robots/passengers you can put on your train. What are the different actions? Well, track gives you a certain number of units, and when you build it, let's say I have 1 unit, I could simply build a track from one station to another. If I cross a river, that would require 2 units to cross the river. Other players will not necessarily get in the way of you building track, so because you all have they're clear tiles. So for example, green could build a curve there, and maybe a curve here. And even if another color wanted to do the exact same thing, they simply would just use different types of curves. They made it so that the tiles will separate like that. So the clear things work really well for players to build routes. Now, because it's a subway line, you will start and stop at the different stations here, but you must build from the end. So if I want to build yellow from here, let's say I build a straight line, so the yellow goes here, I cannot put another connection point at this station. I would have to start from this station now, or from the end of the yellow route, wherever it is. You can spend units when building track to pull off the end if you want to, because maybe you want to put it somewhere else on the board. So that's track. Moving, once your train is on the board, you'll be able to move from spot to spot. For each move unit, you can move 1 full link. So this would be 1 movement, that would be 1 movement, this would be 1 movement. Your train cannot turn around till it gets to the end of the line. But if, let's say I had 3 movement, I could go 1, turn around, 2, 3 to go back there. I already mentioned capacity is how many you can hold. Then you have pick up and drop off. You can pick up passengers or drop them off. Let's say I pick up 2. I could pick up 2, and I need to drop them off at the same color station. So I would have to go here to the silver station to drop off silver passengers. Why would you want to drop off passengers? Because then you can stick these on your board. You can also refill a station where you will pull units from the bag here, which initially is filled with the different kinds of robots, and you'll pull till you get however many robots you're allowed to fill up to. You just can't put the same color on the station. So if I drew and I was going to put on this station, if I drew any golds, I would just set them aside before I put them there. Adjusting is an important action because it allows you to move a robot from one spot to another spot. So the more adjust you have, the more robots you can move around. Passengers, on the other hand, if you ever get a passenger and place them somewhere on the board, they are stuck there. They can't move. And like I said, you're going to need to fill, like you need a silver and a copper to even pick up pink passengers. And to pick up red, you need to get a pink passenger and a silver robot here to be able to pick up reds. And those passengers don't show up till somebody uses the build station. And you can't even build a station of a color unless you have the proper robots unlocking that color. Once you do, however, you're going to take a station of that color and you'll place it in a spot on the board, putting any passengers that are there on top of it. Also, there's going to be a color piece on that. You'll immediately get that as a bonus. And then the rest of the passengers of that type are now thrown into the bag. The final action on your board is reverse train, which simply just allows you to reverse train even if you're in the middle of your track. So players are going to be taking turns back and forth, and when one station of every color has been built and the bag gets emptied with all the passengers out on the board, then that's going to trigger the end of the game and everyone will finish the round and then do one last round. At that point, players are going to score. On your board, you're going to score 1 point for every lavender and pink passenger. You'll score 2 points for every red and purple passenger. Although if you fill these columns up, they're worth a bonus point each. If you fill these columns up, you're going to get 1 point for every link you have on the board. These will add 1 victory point for each link that you have. Each player is going to start the game with 4 bonus victory cards, 1 of each type. You can draft them or just draw randomly. At the end of the game, you're going to score 1 of those cards, your highest one. So for example, this gives 10 if I have no pink or coral, the red commuters. If I have none of those, I can score this for 10. Or this gives me 5 for empty extra action player board sections. So I could get up to 15 if I never took any extra actions at the end of the game. You can score 1 of them. If you fill a row, you can score 2. If you fill all 3 of these rows, you can score all 4 of them, although each card has a 15-point maximum that it can score. And you're going to add these scores together, plus, like I said, 1 for each section on the board, each link that you have on the board, and whoever has the most points is the winner. The components for this game are just phenomenal. And there's only one problem, and I'm going to mention that first because I want to rave about the rest of them, and that's that the copper and the gold are very easily confused for us, especially since on the boards themselves, they're kind of shown as yellow, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the gold one. I'm probably just going to repaint mine yellow or gold, or brighter gold, so it's easier to tell. We're going to test out some colors. That's my only problem. Other than that, my word, these are super thick tiles. When you build a station on the board and you put it out there, it's so cool that it fits there in the board like that. The tiles themselves, the fact that they're clear and yet at the same time it's a functional thing. You can fit all the colors on one tile. So for example, I could have lines that look like this. That's really neat. And on the board, it looks like an actual subway map. I really like that. I like the little dudes. I like these little metal trains. They're like aluminum, though it kind of looks like a toenail clipper when you turn it upside down. But they're fun to move around the board. Just fantastic. And then let's take a look here real quickly. At the other side of the board, we have Manhattan. Now, Manhattan has this big hub station. This is why this one's easier, because in the hub station, any passenger can be delivered there, which is kind of convenient. But also from the hub station, you can have multiple things coming out, not just 2, but 3. And that's why this side is a little easier, because you have that one big central station. But the board itself is just 4 puzzle pieces that come apart very easily, so there's no bending. There's a nice score pad that comes with the game. The cards are very clear as to what they do. They're okay quality, but my word, folks, this is top-notch quality.
Folks, since I recorded that overview, I did have my daughter paint the gold robots yellow-ish. They look yellow gold now, and it made a huge difference. Now, I don't think it's that. I mean, I don't know that it's game breaking, but it was just something that we noticed. But other than that, like I said, I was unbelievably astounded. My favorite part of this is when the game's finished, seeing all the different tracks laid out, those clear tracks. It looks like an actual real subway map, and I think that's really cool. Chris, what do you think about the components?
I thought it was the components are top notch, and like you said, Tom, earlier, it seems like this is the upgraded version of a game. But I realized, this game only works because you have those clear tiles that overlay each other. The metal trains, that is a little bit, excess, but I'm okay with some excess in my games.
You say excess, Chris. I say, give me more metal. I like the metal trains. I'm all about the metal trains. This was a game that when you mentioned, Tom, I did the unboxing for it. I was very, very impressed. I also looked to say, is this like a special edition? It's not. The issue with the gold and bronze. Now, I know that you have mentioned it and we had it repainted. That is an issue. I don't want to undersell that. I really do feel like the gold and the bronze, it's really tough, especially depending on the type of lighting you have. I think that could, really play a part into it. But that is really the only negative. I love dual layer boards. I'm very much on record with that. And they definitely serve a purpose here. They're not just for show. The dual layer boards help with the functionality of the game. The clear route tiles are great. The hugely thick cardboard stations that are like 15 layers of cardboard. I love it. Stacking my metal trains on my huge cart, give me more. Overproduction, no problem. Roy?
I agree. I think the production's great. And I knew you were going to say dual layer boards. I was like, dual layer boards, yes. But yeah, I really like the way that everything, there's something about the crisscrossing of these clear tiles that looks really cool as you play the game. And like the other players don't really hinder you for building routes and things. So you have to try to figure that stuff out. But yeah, I really like the way the game looks. And I think all that stuff comes together in a lot of fun gameplay.
So let's talk a little bit about the actual gameplay. One of the things I think is really neat about this game is the boards, the technology, if you will, moving your robots around, trying to get an extra action or more. Getting 5 actions is pretty tricky, but getting 3 or 4 actions. But you want to make these actions better. So the first time I played this, I managed to get 4 actions, but my actions were all pretty weak because of that. And so I was taking more actions than other people, but they were worse. My second game, I don't think I ever got the 3rd action, but my 2 actions were always really good. And I think both things worked for me. And that maneuvering and moving the robots around to the right action is honestly my favorite part of the game. Did you like it, Chris?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. One of the times I played it, I didn't move almost anything because I kind of got it where I wanted. But then other times you play it, you think, I've got this set up in such a great way. And then you realize, oh, no, I'm not picking up people as strong as I wish to, or I have great pickup and capacity, but I'm dropping off one at a time. I need to fix this. And so I think that the fact that you're building up your strength, but also you have that flexibility to rearrange what you're strong in, it's a fantastic point. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mike.
Well, I do, and I agree with you. The thing that I really like, first of all, I like pick up and deliver as a game mechanism. It's just something I've always liked. And what this game does is it takes those very basic core mechanics of here's how much capacity your train has, here's how many passengers you can pick up, here's how many you can drop off. And it allows you to feel like you have so much agency over that by moving these robots around. Because really what your board does, one of the reasons I like it so much, is that it doesn't really complicate the game at all. You really are picking up passengers, moving your train, building stations, dropping them off to get points. But the board allows you to kind of manipulate and mitigate and just change those core actions. And I think that that's really good because it just gives you a sense of, I can do what I want to do. I just need to figure out how to make it work. I love games like that allow you to have a plan. You know there's a way you can do it. You just got to figure out how. This game gives you that chance to feel clever. It gives you a lot of feeling of agency. And at the end of the game, win or lose, I always felt like I was able to put a plan into action and felt clever, even if I didn't win, and I don't know that I ever did. So I liked it. Roy, what were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was really cool the way that, I mean, we all talked about how you're slotting in all the things on your board there, but it just continued to be exciting like the whole time. It's like, okay, now I really want to get this color person so I can upgrade this stat. And now I really want to get this so now I can pick up more people. And if I get a couple more of these, then I can get my extra action. And figuring out the order you want to do that. And then also like bringing more people into the station, hoping you get the right colors so you can upgrade the stats you want. You can also almost get like super carried away, like min-maxing all your stats. And yes, I did say min-maxing, but it applies 100% to this game because you're trying to figure out how you want to build your trains up. And do you want to pick up a bunch of people? Do you want to be moving super fast? Do you want to just like be able to throw a whole bunch more people in a station and hopefully pick them up and move them to another place? It's very enjoyable, and I felt like every turn of the game is like I couldn't wait for it to get back to my turn so I could figure out ways to like move those things around and unlock more special abilities for moving my trains.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about here is the fact that there's two sides of the board, an easier side and a more difficult side. It's very clear there's a difference on them. On the easier side, the Manhattan side, you can drop off anyone and you can have multiple tracks coming from the central station. On the other side, you only have one line, and there's 3 different starting stations, so there's some difficulty there comparatively. And I want to be clear that I like the more difficult side better, not because it's more difficult, but I think it adds a challenge and makes the game more interesting. I actually liked both sides. I just like that side better, although I would happily play on either side. But the other thing is, I think the variant rule of drafting these starting 4 cards, once you've played the game once, I think you're always going to want to play with that rule, because what you'll find is if you get the cards randomly, sometimes 2 cards don't mesh together necessarily strategically. And this is a game where strategy matters. Now, yes, you might only score one of your cards, and I've done that. Hey, I'm only going to score 1 card and go for points in other ways. But sometimes the card you want to score focuses you towards strategy of getting more cards. So it's kind of, again, it's not a big deal for your first play, but after that, I would always play the drafting the things. So the harder board for me and the drafting the point cards are my preferences. What about you all?
So with that, I think that this is one of the few complaints I have on the game is a few of those cards. The last time Mike and I played one, there was a situation where he took a card, and I could have taken a card that was the diametric opposite of his objective. He wanted to build tiles where no one else stacked their clear tiles on top of it. I could have taken a card that said, stack your tiles on top of someone else's. And in that situation, I would have all of the agency. I could drive what the end outcome would be. And so I'm not sure that all of those cards are winners, but I do like that there's a big stack of them. But it's also weird that they say, here's the deck, pick one.
I like that.
It's good. It's good. I when I think of draft, I don't think, here's the giant deck, pick something.
Well, it's like 20 cards, but yeah, or maybe 12. I'm not even sure.
Right. But it does give you a lot of control. I just see a few of those cards after a game or two. People say, I'm not picking that one. That one's just not good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, because I did have the I did have the card of have no one building over your things, and I thought after I took it and made I chose it. I was stuck with it now. I thought, man, if somebody else has the other card, that's a better card. I do agree, though, Tom. I'm always going to want to play with drafting, and I do like the harder side of the board as well. Harder, I think, is maybe not exactly accurate. It's just tighter. Don't you think it would be like
tighter's
more
a better
restrictive?
word? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not harder, but I do prefer that. I think it gives you more decision making. But I'll tell you, whether you agree or disagree that one card may be better than another, I really like that system. I like a scoring system like that, where a lot of times you can get caught up with doing stuff on the main board. It's like, oh, I'm going to be moving these passengers around and I'm going to be building all this track, and that's great. But if you don't really focus on what's going to score you the points, you're not going to win. And so I kind of like that you have this push-pull of there's things I want to do out here on the board, but I also want to make sure that I'm as efficient as I can be with scoring these cards, because at the beginning of the game, you're only guaranteed to score one of those 4 cards. You have to unlock the ability to score up to the other 3. And so I really like that too. I always want, my thing is I'm always wanting to unlock all my cards, even whether I get a lot of points off them or not. So, Roy, did you play both sides of the board?
I only played the one side of the board, and I haven't played with the drafting yet. But I do think that drafting would help a lot because I feel like if you don't draft, some of those cards might pigeonhole you into certain strategies, and it might not necessarily be in your best interest for those strategies. So drafting completely alleviates that because you can pick something that's more towards your play style or something more towards like what you want to try to do or something that you think would be able to get you more victory points. There's a aspect of this game where you get caught up in the like upgrading and don't even think about scoring points, and you're like, oh yeah, we're supposed to score points. I was just having fun upgrading trains and building tracks, you know. Yeah. So it's very interesting as the game goes along. But I would like to try the other side of the board because it sounds interesting, making it a little bit more harder to get certain colors of passengers.
Well, to that end, Chris, what's your final thoughts and rating of the game?
Oh man, this game's really good. A lot of things about it are smart. I know I just mentioned a few of those complaints, and we talked about the gold bronze thing, and take a marker or spray paint or something to fix. That's an easy fix, but the game is brilliant. It reminds me of a much faster version of a game that I adore called Hansa Teutonica, where you can upgrade and make yourself stronger in whatever different ways you want to. But this is like that game made in the 21st century, if you will. It's not, the theme isn't boring Germany. It's exciting. It's way fast. And so I'm going to give this one, for me, I think an 8.5.
All right, what about you, Roy?
I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. This is not normally the sort of game that I would say fits into my wheelhouse of games that I'm excited about. I mean, it's all about gathering victory points, but I do love pick up and deliver, and I just really enjoy games that allow you to upgrade the way you want. So I'm going to give this an 8 because I enjoyed it so much, and I really enjoy just the way and the variety of the gameplay and trying to figure out how to get all those different people back to the different stations. It's a lot of fun. So even if you're not really into this genre of game or train games, try this one out. You might find it really enjoyable.
All right, Mike.
I breathed a big sigh of relief after playing this game the first time because I felt like there was maybe something wrong with me. This designer has had some very highly regarded board games that just haven't worked for me. Not a huge fan of Suburbia. Not a huge fan of Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I'm a huge fan of this game. I really, really like this game a lot. I think it is an excellent game, and because I think it's an excellent game, I'm giving it an 8.5. This is a game I want to keep playing. I feel like I could play it another 10, 20 times, and I still would enjoy it quite a bit.
I gotta be honest, guys, I thought I would have the highest score, but instead I just tied two of you with an 8.5. But I also really think this game's fantastic. There are a few things I wonder about. I wonder about replayability after 10, 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot for me these days anyway.
Sure.
But I wonder about that. And I wonder if this is the kind of game where I'm going to sit there after a while and go, I would love to see new maps like Age of Steam. But I would rather play this any day over Age of Steam. It's not nearly as tight and unforgiving as Age of Steam. But in this game, you're fighting over the passengers. There's some luck in the drawing of passengers from the bag, but the manipulation and watching what everyone else is doing. Roy might be building a really fast train. Mike is building a slower train but can pick up 3 people at a time. And then I realize no one's doing the lavender people. I can go for those and be the only person. I really think that's fantastic. The whole thing comes together, and the good production just icing on the cake. So, yeah, this is, man, I'm getting kind of jaded when it comes to trains. But this is a train game that I thought was different and fun and worth your time. So that's what we think, folks. That's Maglev Metro. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
Have fun choo-chooing. Oh, wait, you don't do that in the Maglev.
Ooh, you can.